First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekah Kwadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while unto his truth, and also to those elect that scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type D lesson is so-called black men, 7 foot tall in spacecrafts. So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope this will help you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today, let's have a quick article here by World Star Hip Hop on Facebook. And it reads that former NASA research scientist is making explosive claims about an alien encounter at an Air Force base. He describes a mile-long ship landing and hundreds of beings getting off that were a black race, said looked like African Americans, he said, and were around 7 feet tall. So he said they had an arrogant look of conquerors that had never been conquered. So we constantly seeing, constantly hearing reports and constantly seeing articles like, I think this article came out around the 90s, late 80s. But, this man right here was a NASA scientist, and he said he witnessed that he seen so-called black men or a African American race of people come off a mile long spacecraft, but one thing about it that we know that these are the angels of the Lord. They are dark skinned, they are Negro men, riding around beholding the good and the evils in those so-called what they English call UFO or UAPs. And one thing about it, he said they had a arrogant look of conquerors, like they have never been conquered before. So I did a lesson on this. I think it was some part early 24, if I'm not mistaken, and many other brothers, did reports on this. And I think Elder Menadizah, I've seen it once again on Elder Menadizah, the beloved elder out of South Carolina, GMS South Carolina. He did a report on this also. So I'm just going to put my twist on it, So, and once again, I hope that you will get edified. So we see it right here, it's constantly describing the angels, the eyes of the Lord. They are in every place, beholding the good and the evil. So Lord is visiting the earth that he created. How is the Lord visiting the earth that he created? Through these what? Through these, what they call these so-called aliens, or so-called black aliens. But one thing about we knowing them as the angels of the Most High, in which in fact they are dark-skinned men. It described them in Ezekiel chapter 1. So right here, this is one report, and also we seeing UFO sighting pretty much every day. This is our salvation. Our salvation is very close than we yet believe. So this man right here, said that they was a dark race of people, you know what I'm saying? And also he's saying that they were 7 foot tall and they looked at like conquerors, you know what I'm saying? Men of renown, you know what I'm saying? One thing about it is that, we coming upon that time where the Lord's getting ready to show forth his glory and his great power. So we are very close to these times. So we're living in some very exciting times. Let's read this once again. It said, NASA scientist says he saw 7 foot tall black skinned aliens, said look like African Americans after stepping off mile long ship, a cigar shaped ship. I got videos on it, but anyway, we knowing that, we are not African Americans, we're not African, we're not Americans. We are the Hebrew Israelites of the Bible, you know what I'm saying? And one thing about it is that, this man, he tried to describe it the best way he could, but just like I said, we're, what I'm saying, we are so-called, what they call so-called black peoples. And one thing about it is, so he was spot on with this, because the idea about these are the angels of Yahweh Ba'ashim outside also. And one thing about it, that when they return, they come to redeem the elect, and the 2/3 and the heathen is gonna be, it's gonna be a nightmare for them. And they're gonna be, the Lord's getting ready to get down. The Lord's getting ready to show forth His great glory and great power. So let's go here. Constantly seeing reports left and right. Let's go to this one here by Newsbreak. It says a ILS 31 Atlas, the latest interstellar object, said an alien spacecraft. It says here, let's read that once again. It said this here about a Newsbreak. It said ILS 31 Atlas, the latest interstellar object, an alien spacecraft. We know that there's no such thing as alien. The aliens are the angels, of the Most High, the one that's gonna come back and get busy. When you go to Zechariah chapter 5, it's gonna be the curse that go across the entire earth. It's gonna be good for the election, and it's gonna be bad for the heathen nation, also the 2/3. So the Lord's getting ready to come back and judge this place. So right here, this object, they've been talking about this for the last 2 weeks. It says out there in space, and they said it was getting closer to Earth. And one thing about it, we already knowing that, they're saying about a mothership, but we know it as a fathership. The Lord's going to return on what they call, ignorant call a UFO, UAP. You know what I'm saying? The chariots of the Most High. The Lord's getting ready to return. So we are very close to these times. We live in some very exciting times. Let's read just a little bit of this report. It says, spotted by astronomers last month, it's an interstellar object, 31 Atlas, says NASA is the third object. It said, so this report by NASA, it said is the third object from beyond that we detected passing through the solar system, given that it is giving that its trajectory does not intersect with Earth orbits. So it poses no threat to Earth and will remain far away. It said NASA states it has been suggested elsewhere, however, that this isn't true. If you assume that 31 Atlas is in fact a hostile alien spacecraft intent on our death, destruction, and annihilation, bearing in mind. So right here, exactly that is that they coming to bring forth death, destruction, and annihilation. A lot of these things are getting ready to happen. The Lord, you say, coming with like a whirlwind. You know what I'm saying? And the body count will be great. So right here, we seeing that, it's objects, at outer space, because they're seeing all these different, they call them objects. They saying that they're aliens. They saying that they're drones. But we know that these are the chariots of the Most High. We know that these are the eyes of the Most High. They're in every place, beholding the good and the evil. So one thing about it, we already know that we almost at this end of this rulership. Esau is the end of this earth age. This eon, this age, this temporal world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed, the kingdom of heaven that dwells in rights. Also, we read upon the second coming of our Lord and Savior and our great deliverance. So we're very close. Let's get this right quick. I keep quoting. Let's go here to Proverbs. Let's go here to Proverbs chapter 15. Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 3. Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 3. It says, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. So that's exactly what's happening. The Lord sent out his scouts first, his eyes, constantly surveilling the good and the evil, constantly going back and forth into the fourth dimension and back into the third dimension. They're going back and forth, constantly reporting, constantly letting the Lord know exactly what's going on. And also we know that Bible prophecy is constantly being fulfilled. They constantly doing the will of the Lord. Whether it's evil or whether it's good, the Lord is in perfect control. That's why we're constantly seeing these chariot sightings pretty much every day. His great fear is falling upon Esau. He know exactly what these things are. Dark-skinned race of people. He's talking about the angels. No such thing as aliens. You know, there's no such thing as the Anunnaki and all these other ridiculous claims that they're saying that Anunnaki is returning. No, the Lord is getting ready to return and set everything back into order. So now, let's start today's video, and after the video, we'll start the lesson, and I hope that you will get edified. Let's go here with this one here.
Land on military base.
Cigar-shaped ship appeared over the Air Force Base. These cigar-shaped ships were over a mile in length. One of them landed on the airport landing strip area. When it touched the ground, it created an earthquake like about a 3.5 to 4.0. It terrified everybody in the area. The back of this craft opened up, and several hundred young men with huge, heavy weapons came out of two sides of the ship and formed a protection line around the ship. And the people at that Air Force base, the commander, had a meeting with the individuals that were aboard this ship. And this particular race that landed those ships and that are seen in these huge cigar-shaped ships, they are a black race. They look like African Americans. They were about 6'4", 6'5". These tight-fitting black leather outfits on, and the weapons that they came out of the ships with, they were huge weapons. And if you've ever seen a race of people that were conquered, that had never been conquered, they've got this look about them of arrogance. That is exactly what these extraterrestrials had, and they informed these people at this American Air Force base that not only were they from a militaristic society, but they had controlled a large portion of the galaxy that we live in. And this was the statement that Ronald Reagan was making to the United Nations when he said that if all the countries on the planet realized that there was a threat from outer space and from an alien civilization, we would all come together. But he was not allowed to make this statement. What I tell you is true, and the gentleman that you had on before.
What the hell is going on this planet? So according to NASA, the aliens that's supposed to be coming here in November have a strong resemblance to us. The aggressive aliens that's on their way to Earth that's supposed to get here in November resemble African American people. And they're saying they're around 7 feet tall. And if that's the case, we already know why they're aggressive. We already know what they're coming back here for. Earlier this summer, the Pentagon said that the Anunnaki will be back here in the next 2 years. And now NASA, of course, again, NASA is saying that the aliens that are coming here this November look like African Americans. You do the math. The truth of the matter is, the truth has been hidden for way too long about what this planet is, where this planet came from, who we are as a people. And apparently, those interstellar beings that's coming here are coming here for a reason. And apparently, someone's spoken to them. Someone is keeping contact with them. Someone knows their true purpose. Because you can't randomly just say that they're aggressive and they're coming here aggressively if you haven't spoken to them, or if they're not here already. Welcome to 2025. I want to see what's next. I'm out.
So are you not positing the idea that those vehicles contain, beings who are, maybe like us?
Yeah, I only go along with government images. And if you want to know about people shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off.
Not dark, black.
Black skin.
Really black. And red shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off.
Not dark, black.
Black skin.
Really black.
Get one more before we start today's lessons. One more I want to get for you right quick. I got to find it. But we see it right there that, they constantly describing the angels of the Lord, which in fact are dark-skinned men, not Anunnaki, not aliens. They are the angels of the Lord.
But we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
So now let's start today's lesson. We'll start first in Ezekiel chapter 1, going straight to the point. But we seeing right there in that last video, Ronald Reagan, I think it was a speech back in 87, somewhere like that. And where he said that, what if they have an outside threat, what would they do? They already know it's an alien race, with us already. It's talking about what the 144 starting with the prophets, also the true believers of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Abishai. Esau already knowing what time it is. And also that's why he's getting that, what you call that space force together, getting ready for that war in heaven where he's going to lose miserably when the Lord returns with great glory and great power. So we start here. We get a feel this is going to describe the chariots or what they call UFO or UAPs. It started here first, Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 4. It said, and I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, said a great cloud, said, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as the color of amber, so out of the midst of the fire. So this is describing what they call a UFO or a UAP. You know what I'm saying? That was coming into the atmosphere. Coming through the sky. So a good example of that that movie Independence Day when Will Smith finally first seen that big chariot coming. It was enfolding of those clouds. And one thing about another word for chariot is clouds. The Lord said he comes with clouds. So right here, that's giving you a description, of a so-called UFO or UAP or what they call, or what we would call a spacecraft, but we know them as the chariot of the Most High. I hope I'm not confusing anyone. Let's read it in the NLT. It said, as I looked, I saw a great storm coming from the north, said, driving before it a huge cloud that flashed like lightning and shone with brilliant light, like a color amber or a orange reddish color. It said brilliant light. It said there was a fire inside the cloud, and said in the middle of the fire glowed something like gleaming amber. It's talking about, like the wheel within the wheel, so they just like showing that circle on the bottom, where that laser and chariot fire, where that come out at. So that's kind of described and give you a little description. But, seeing that movie Independence Day, it's spot on when it's showing that chariot when it's folding over those clouds and it's showing you that amber color. You know what I'm saying, man? So, they get everything straight out of the Bible. It said verse 5, it said, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. So, and this was their appearance, and they had the likeness of a man. So, so just telling you right here that the one that was inside of these so-called UFO or UAPs had the likeness of a man, which in fact they are angels. You know what I'm saying? They got the appearance of a man. They look just like like the man said, so-called African American, but we know we're not African, we're not American. You know, we are the Israelites of the Bible. So, you know, this right here give you a description of a so-called man. You know what I'm saying? So right here, you know, so he got angels have man features, look like a man. Verse 6, it says, and everyone had four faces, and everyone had four wings. So right here, this is describing, you know, like a formation or a squadron or a fleet. That's what that is describing right there. Verse 7 says, and their feet were straight feet, and the soles of their feet was like the soles of calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. So right here, this is describing, you know, what type of like, you know, it said in that they had a tight fitting black outfit on with these, what you call like, you ever seen like ninja boots? They had like those type of boots on, look just like ninja boots. If you ever get I wish I could have put up a picture of what those type of boots that those ninjas wear. That's what this is describing. And also it said like the color of burnished brass, and we already know the color of burnished brass is what? Dark. You know what I'm saying? Like it burned in the oven, you know, just like our Lord and Savior. He's a Negro man from the tribe of Judah. So this is describing that they were very dark skinned men, you know, just like it said in the video, you know, it said they was, you know, looked like a black man or looked like a dark race or dark skinned race of people. We put it like that. So that's right here give you a description, you know, who rides around in those UFO or UAPs, you know, what they ignorantly call UFOs and UAPs. You know what I'm saying? That's what, you know, that's what they call it. But we know them as the chariot of the Most High. You know, so we seeing right here that we're gonna constantly see these things left and right. So we seeing UFO sightings all across the world. So let's go to this one here. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Let's go to Ecclesiastes right quick. These just random scriptures. It's not meant to be a long lesson, but it's always good to go into these things because it's exactly what is getting ready to come to deliver us. If you're not getting beamed up, you're getting burnt up. So that's where we at right now. That's why we constantly seeing these things. You know, we're in that time, man. You know, we're in that transition of power. We're seeing these things constantly happening right before our Ezekiel chapter 23. Ezekiel chapter 23 and verse 19. Ezekiel chapter 23 and verse 19. And it reads, says, such a man only fears the eyes of men, and knoweth not the eyes of the Lord, are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men and considering the most secret parts. So right here, you know what I'm saying, it's telling you that the Lord, you know, he's in every place. You know, the Lord got everything under surveillance. We already know that Esau, he has a God complex. He want to be just like the Most High. He want to know everything. He want to have you under surveillance 24 hours. But one thing about it, you got someone that is above, which in fact is Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. He got the drop on him. He's looking down on this mere man. You know what I'm saying? Which in fact, we're seeing right now that his eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. So that right there, you know, the Lord sees everything. There's no one that's going to escape the hands of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. So we're here, man. Let's read this once again. Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, chapter 23 and verse 19 says, such a man only fears the eyes of men and knows not that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men and considering the most secret part. So the Lord sees everything. No one has gotten away with a damn thing. The Lord's getting ready to come back and judge this place. You know what I'm saying? So one thing about that, you know, you can't run, you can't hide. So a lot, you know, Esau, he's gonna try to fight, but he's gonna lose miserably. Let's go here to Psalms. Let's go here to Psalm chapter 6 to 8. Psalm chapter 6 to 8. We get one more, we close out. Psalm chapter 68, just a quick lesson. It's always good to go back over. I did a lesson about this. It's been a while back, but it's always good to go back, you know what I'm saying, and go back over again, because we in these times, man. Let's go to this one here. Psalm chapter 68 and verse 17. And it reads, "Say the chariots of the Almighty are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai in the holy place." So the Lord's when the Lord returns, the Lord is going to be in the midst of all those chariots and that fathership. That's why the Lord said, "Look to the brightness of His coming." So the Lord is going to be among them. You know what I'm saying? When they constantly seeing all these different objects, these so-called spacecraft. They already know, and they seeing these spacecraft every day. These chariots. He knowing what's out there. They got that, what they call that James Webb telescope, and also NASA got all sorts of different telescopes. So they seeing all these different things. They know how the angels look and everything. So we're here. Salakia. But one thing about it, so the Lord's gonna come in the midst. So it said, the Lord of armies. Just Salakia, once again, just the devil. But one thing about it is that we're here. You know what I'm saying? The chariots of the Almighty are 20,000, even thousands of angels. It said that the Lord is among them, as in Sinai in the holy place. So the Lord's gonna come back. The Lord of hosts, the Lord of what? Heaven's army. So the Lord's gonna come with the thousands of those chariots, what they call UAPs, UFOs. They call aliens. One thing about it, they're in for a rude awakening. So let's drop down to verse 17. Salakia. Let's drop down to verse a little bit under the weather. Salakia. Verse 33. Psalm chapter 68 and verse 33 said, "To him that rideth upon the heavens of heavens, said, which were of old, said, lo, he doeth send out his voice, and that a mighty voice." Verse 34 said, "Ascribe ye strength unto the Almighty. His excellency is over Israel, and his strength is in the clouds." Talking about what? Those chariots, those UAP, them UFOs. You know what I'm saying? So one thing about it, the Lord is watching over what? Israel, which in fact, what? The 1/3, the elect. So each and every day, so the Lord, what? Encampers around, the angels campers around, you know what I'm saying? The true believers, you know what I'm saying? One thing about it, that we're here, man. Let's read this once again from the top. Said, "To him that rideth upon the heavens of heavens." And who is that? That's talking about Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushua. He rides upon the what? He rides upon the heavens of heavens. He rides upon the what? The wind, and those what? And those chariots, in the greatness of his strength. Said, which were of old, lo, he doeth send out his voice, and that a mighty voice. So verse 34 said, "Ascribe ye," said, "strength unto the Almighty. His excellency is over Israel, and his strength is in the clouds." You know what I'm saying? The Lord said he cometh with clouds. Every eye shall see him, even the one that pierced him. That what? That great fathership. You know what I'm saying? That's where the Lord's getting ready to come back. That's why we constantly seeing these things, constantly hearing these sightings and different reports each and every day. Or we could be a alien invasion. It could they come in here to destroy. They come in here to kill us. Esau know his fate. He already know what time it is. Let's go here to Revelation chapter 1. We'll close out here. Revelation chapter 1, and I think it's around verse 7 or 8. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7 said, "Behold, he cometh with clouds." So we seen it at, I think it was that second video, seeing that how they use those clouds to cloak in. They be inside of the clouds. So these some bad raw vehicles. You know what I'm saying? And I'm waiting to hoping and praying that we all gonna have one in the kingdom anyway. You know what I'm saying, man? I'm telling you, the Lord got some fantastic technology that is beyond Esau even imagination. Let's read this once again. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7 says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, said, and every eye shall see him, even said him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall well because of him. Even so, amen. So when the Lord returns, everyone, it's going to be a global event that you have never seen before. And also you can read about that in 2 Ezra chapter 13. You know, and one thing about to tell you about his great and glorious return. So the Lord is getting ready to return. He's coming back on that fathership, you know, what they English call UFO or UAP, but we know them as the chariot of Yahweh by Shema Shai. Our salvation is very close that we yet believe. Verse 8 said, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, says the Lord, which is, which was, and which is to come, the Almighty Yahweh by Shema Shai. So we know that we're very close to this time. We're seeing right now that our redemption is very close than we yet believe. We're seeing that transition to power. We're seeing that rumors of wars are all over the place. We're seeing that we're coming upon a time of trouble that we've never seen before. And also the Lord already said, behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me. The Lord is fast approaching. We're seeing right now they get ready to implement and to roll out this MOTB, the sea hill. We're seeing it right with our own eyes, you know, just like the Bible said. We are so very close. We're very close. We're very excited. The Lord is getting ready to return on that great fathership, what they ignorantly call, once again, UFO or UAPs. And one thing about it, we're not ignorant of Satan's device. We're here. It is at the door, man. The Lord is getting ready to return. And one thing about it, man, we're here, man. So the title of the day lesson, once again, is so-called black men 7 foot tall in spacecraft. So I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekak Kwadash. I like to say, Shalom, Shalom.